All right, thank you all for joining today. We're gonna I think that the idea will be to talk about like learning English or languages in general, because obviously I'm learning Spanish. So we could talk about how long you've been learning, um, how you're learning. Did you take classes? Did you study in university? Did you learn on your own? And kind of just like maybe we can learn from each other, like if there's certain things that people are doing that they find are helpful. So I thought that could be, and then we can just have a general conversation. Like I'll tell you that, just make sure, I think I'm echoing. Okay, here we go. So my thought is also like we can talk about what's going on. Like I can tell you that yesterday I think I was having we were having an ice storm here, but it was also rain and I had water in my basement, so I had a bit of a crazy day yesterday. So we can kind of talk about what's going on, and I'll just
Mhm.
ask people to, like, if you're not talking to me, just so we don't get echoing happening. But any case, does anybody want to like share what's going on? You can actually share who you are, where you're from. And I'm Rochelle from kind of near Boston, Massachusetts area, United States.
Hello, I'm Isabel from Spain.
Hi, good morning. I'm Luz Meli Cartaya. Venezuela.
Good morning. This is Julio Pinto. I'm from La Paz, Bolivia.
Hello, everyone. This is Murad from Yemen. I'm living in Saudi Arabia, and it's my pleasure to meet you. I don't know, I'm here just to test the voice, if it's clear.
Yeah, you sound very clear. I think it depends. Everybody's like internet might be at different levels, but you sound very, very clear. So you must have really good internet.
That's good. That's so good.
Excellent, excellent. So, any case, just a little bit like I said yesterday, I was dealing with like a crazy like storm here, water in my basement. Um, that was my day yesterday. But how is everybody doing right now?
I'm gonna start everything from my side. As I told you guys, I'm living in Saudi Arabia, and the weather now when going more warm comparing to the last week, where the weather was so cold and raining the whole day. Now, thank God, the sun came back and the sunlight is all over the place again. And but unfortunately, due to this weather changing, we are suffering from some medical issues like this fever and this flu, diseases, because when the weather getting changed, it's definitely gonna impact, in the immune system. So three of my family members right now they are, a little bit sick, and I'm hoping that they will get or to be recovered very soon.
And how are things there in Spain, Isabel? It sounds like I'm a little staticky.
Well, at this time, the weather in Spain is a bit chilly, but it is not so bad because, we have warm winters here. We don't have snow, we don't have much rain, so it's okay. I have no problem at all, but I would prefer to live in a, I don't know, warmer country, maybe in the Caribbean.
That would be my choice too. I'm interested in someday maybe moving to like Costa Rica or something like that.
Yes.
Okay. Well, here in Bolivia, at least in the part where I live, La Paz, it is an altitude of 3,500 meters above sea level. It's always kind of cool. And we've been having heavy rain, but it's I prefer to be in a cold place. So there's when we are not talking, we can turn off our mix because I hear something. Our microphones.
Yeah, it seems to be a bit echoey today. I'm not sure what's going on.
The sound is not very clear.
No, it's a little bit
Yeah,
better now, but I'm not
it's a
sure
little.
what.
Yes, there is a problem with the sounds. I don't know what's happening. I want to hear. I live in Caracas, Venezuela. In this moment is summer, but it's summer, but it's a little cool. It's in this time is normal that it's cool for it's from December to February that the temperature is around 14 or 16 or 20 degree Celsius is normal, but then it is until February, and then is the temperature change and it's really really hot. But I like this weather. It's really good. In this moment, we don't have rain. Sometimes we can have a little or slightly rain, but it's not too much because it's winter, but it's more than season rain because here we don't have snow. Only in one state in Venezuela, but it's only in the mountains, so it's not common. It's slightly snow, but and everything here is fine right now, and the situation is getting a little better. Our situation here in Venezuela.
I'm glad to hear that, and hopefully the sound is getting a bit better now. So I guess what my thought of today was just general conversation and talking about learning English or learning languages. So if everyone wants to kind of like go, we can go around and talk about our different experiences learning languages, how long you've been learning, what's worked for you. I just wrote a few little cheat sheets on my little piece of paper of some questions. Share things that have helped with you. I'd like to hear from everybody. What's worked, how long they've been learning and such. So who would like to go first?
Okay, I'm going to start. Okay, I've been learning English for a long time since college, but after college, I stopped the process of learning the language. So I started again. I don't know, maybe 20 years ago, but it is. I start learning, and then I'm not able to do that. So it is a process that is not continued, So I'm struggling with my speaking because I have, I think my knowledge of grammar or vocabulary is there, are there, I have these skills, but when I have to put these skills on practice, I don't know what happens, but my mind goes blind and I'm not able to produce what I've learned before. So that's why I'm doing this kind of videos with you, Rachel. They are very useful because I've started to, I don't know how to say that, to stop my fear to speak, okay? But I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to do that. So I don't know, I will try to do my best. Sorry for that.
You're doing great, and I think we were having a conversation before we went live. The same thing. I've been learning Spanish forever, since high school and college, but really kind of seriously been studying it for the last 5 years. And it's the same thing that when I go to speak it, it's the vocabulary recall is not as strong, and probably I get a little nervous sometimes, but I understand way more. And I probably need to speak more, but I'm not. I know I think I've been talking to Julio. We're going to set up a time, and I still haven't given him some dates, but I'm going to be practicing again, but I think that's the thing, like, you know, practicing listening, practicing. I think you're going to get more of the language recall, the vocabulary, the more you listen. And I know that you teach English and grammar is super important. But I think the more you listen, the more that the words are going to get cemented. They're going to be just natural, and you're not going to have to like think, oh, what is this word in Spanish? What is it in English? You'll just be able to, you'll be able to just say it without even like trying to think of that word.
I have a problem at all when I have to listen to a podcast or something, or someone talking about any topic. But the problem is when I have to talk about any topic, especially because I'm learning C1 level in a language school, and the level is so high. I mean, with vocabulary and with the writing. So I don't know how to face that challenge. You know, I would like to do that, but because the level is like a native speaker, and it is only 1 hour and a half, 2 days a week, and it is not much, at least for me.
All right. Well, that, I mean, that sounds like an hour and a half all at once is a lot, but then twice a week, maybe it's not a huge amount of time. But I'm not a total expert on all the levels, but is C1 one of the highest levels? You said it's like native speaking. Yeah. So, all right. Well, does anyone else want to share? And we can kind of like just have like a conversation. It looks like Mariah, do you want to go?
Yeah. Well, it took for me learning English took 2 years and a half in a language school. But well, I went there twice a week. But I learned more by myself because I'm trying to start every day, and I try to involve in the language every day, listening, reading, and practice exercises in English. So it works for me. And then, well, I just finished last December. I just finished in the language school, but now I'm trying to improve my English, of course, by myself. I want to be fluent in English and be confident, but sometimes it's not easy because I can speak every day. Because I don't have many people to talk maybe here in Venezuela. So your group, Rachel, helped me to practice a little more. And this kind of meeting is good for me because I can talk, I can practice. Well, but always I get nervous, so I'm trying to face this because I want to speak like a native English speaker. Well, not with their accent, but I want to have the same fluence. No, speak like fluency, like I speak in Spanish. I want to speak in that way.
I don't know, maybe it's my turn, but I think you forgot to unmute your mic, Rochelle. So anyways.
Yeah, thank you. Go ahead. I'm thank you.
No problem. No, thank you so much for giving me this opportunity. Actually, first of all, I'm so amazed, how I'm meeting now people from 4 different continents, and such an amazing thing, to be a part in this beautiful conversation. I'm so blessed, and I'm so thankful to Rochelle for giving us this opportunity. And I'm hoping that this, beautiful, group talk will continue for longer times, because it's giving us, the chance to practice our English and our passion toward this English, toward this language, in higher levels. So from my side, I started, learning this language, and I mean English, in an early age. Actually, at the age of 10, 9, I started to see that I need, to practice this language, and to be more capable to speak and to interact with foreign people, because I realized that this language is very important, and it's not, a language for communication only. It's a language that that is necessary to learn a lot of things in your life, and not only in one direction, like communication. You can all science in this world is built on English. So this is why I think, and I do believe, that English is very important. So I started that journey, and right now I can say that I'm almost 36. So for 26 years, I'm learning this language, and in daily basis, I'm learning a new vocabularies, and I'm taking, my own style. I believe that the proper way in learning any new language, you have to study it as per, the toddlers or the babies, how they are learning their, mother tongue. So I'm memorizing sentence and trying to gather them in one structure, and based on this structure I will talk to other people. So this is my style, actually, in learning this language. I didn't attend any school or institute, and I think going to a class where you are limited to one subject, or to a course that's limited for you and not selected as per you want or you need, I think it won't give you that chance to express yourself more. So live, it's the best school. You have to interact with people. Don't be afraid from committing any mistake. Hesitation, this is our main problem when we talk to people. So this hesitation can't be defeated if we practice this language in daily basis. So we are here learning a new language. We cannot reach to a level where we can be compared to native speakers. So if we just can take our passion to this language to a higher level, to a professional level, where we can interact with people and to be easily understood by others, I think this is the main goal that myself planning or wishing to reach. So this is my passion, and this is my style of learning this language.
Thank you. And I think you mentioned we're from 5 continents. My goal someday would be to have almost all continents represented, except for Antarctica, because I don't think that's likely. But yeah, it's awesome that we can communicate with people with the English language. You communicate with people from 5 different continents right now. That's awesome. And that it's more than just we can learn English or learn a different language to help us in our jobs and other things, but it can also be able to allow us to be able to communicate and learn about all kinds of different people's cultures from all over the world. So that those are some great points that you made. So
thanks so much. Yes, definitely, you are right. And once again, I'm so amazed, and I'm hoping that this conversation will continue. I'm passionate, to be a part in upcoming conversations, and with your efforts, Rochelle. Thank you so much. I appreciate that from Saudi Arabia. Just keep going. What you're doing is something beautiful and generous, and it's a contribution to the humanity.
Yeah, and thank you. And I know I'm pushing some people outside of their comfort zones. I know if I was asked to go and speak Spanish on a live YouTube Zoom, I would be a bit nervous. So I am pushing people out of their comfort zones. I think it's something similar like this group that we have. I used to belong to a group, it's called Toastmasters International. So it's all around the world. And we would go and we'd meet weekly, and we would sign up each week. We'd sign up to do a different speech. And we got these workbooks, and we would have to practice our speech on our own. And then we would go to the group, and we'd get in front of everybody, and we'd do our speech. And then other people would give us feedback. But it was a safe place because of the fact that we kind of knew each other and we got to know each other. And I feel like this group is a safe place. I'm pushing you a little bit to go outside your comfort zone and kind of go on this YouTube live with me. But at the same time, I feel like it's safe because we all know each other. Instead of just inviting you to a, come on YouTube live with me, and you're going to be with a bunch of people that you don't know. Like, you got a chance to know each other through our group. So I think it's a more comfortable, opportunity to do this. So thank you. And I wanted to give Julio a chance, and then we can just have like a general conversation.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Rochelle. Well, I guess Murat summarized this learning languages. What's that about, right? But for those who are going to watch this video, I would like to say something, right? It's that there are a lot of methods, ways, the best ways to learn a language, but every single person is going to find his or her way to do it. What I recommend is to first be clear with at least the basic part of your own grammar. I'm talking about, you have to know what's a noun, what's an adjective, what's a verb, right? And then, of course, there must be a motivation, at least an interest, something that you're going to take out of that language, right? And then we have to set a goal. We have to, according to what we are learning that language for. If it's just to travel, vacation, maybe you can learn some basic conversations. But if you're planning to study or work abroad, maybe you're going to do it, let's say, seriously, right? Well, you have to write it down. I mean, this goal, you have to put it in a place where you can see it every day. You have to keep motivated. You have to know how you're doing and, how much do you have left to reach that goal? Finally, I would say that in this, at the very beginning, we have to look for interesting material, something that is going to fit our interests or something that we like. And also we have to fit our schedule. If we have a lot of time free, maybe we can spend some hours studying, reading, listening, right? If not, we can use the passive input, while you're cleaning the house, while you're driving work or coming back home, right? And I would say that that's an important beginning, and maybe I can talk a little bit of how I do it later on. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much for Julio for sharing. I'm very interested in hearing because I think that you have shared that you're studying many languages, and I'm very interested in learning. I think you mentioned like Latin and other languages as well, and you seem to have a really good handle on English. I'm always seeing you share a lot of great information with the group. Some of the things that you mentioned upon is like finding things that interest you. I mean, I totally agree with that. Like if you are, listening to things or watching videos and things that are not interesting, then you're not really going to engage with it. So finding things that you're interested in is going to help you learn the language. And then the idea, there was something else, I just lost my thought. But yeah, I think oh, the motivation. I was talking before we started with Isabel. My daughter was taking Spanish lessons when she was 8. I was having her take Spanish lessons, but she wasn't motivated. The only thing she was motivated with was that I was going to give her a little prize at the end of it. But she wasn't really motivated to learn. And now, although she remembers most of the Spanish she learned, she will not take the lessons, and she doesn't have the motivation. So I think if you don't have that motivation, then it's really difficult. So I know a lot of people that want to learn English, the motivation is, very clear. It's for getting a job. It's for communicating with people all around the world. I know I was talking to somebody from our group that, traveled to a different country, and although he couldn't speak the language of that country, but he could speak to people in English. So that was beneficial, that like you can get by if you travel different countries, if you don't know the language of that country, but you can speak English to people. There's probably people that you can communicate with. But I think that's a struggle right now. I really have a motivation. I want my daughter to learn a language, but she doesn't. So she needs to have that motivation in her. But yeah, thank you for sharing. So anyway, I was thinking that we could just have a, kind of talk about what we've done and how we've been learning. I'll share for me, for learning Spanish, when I first was learning it in high school, it was very much book. I had a teacher, and she was not a native Spanish speaking teacher. She was what like people in Mexico would call a gringo, right? She was, and we learned mostly from the book. We would study the different things, write them out like 4 or 5 times, memorize them, take a test, and then go on to the next topic. And we'd learn the different grammar, obviously, what were verbs and what were nouns and all that kind of stuff. And how do you talk about the weather? But I remember my first thing was writing out "me llamo Rochelle," te llama, and so on, or "te llamas," and so on. And I would just write it out, and I didn't even understand what those words were, except that it meant my name is Rochelle, your name is Luzmila, and so on. But I didn't understand what was the verb and any of that, right? It was just like memorizing. Write it out 5 times. Write it out 5 times, and then you're going to come back and you're going to know how to say that. But it was kind of like what you were saying, Julio. If you're going to go on vacation and you just want to get by and you want to order something at a restaurant without having to use a little translator, that was the way that we were learning Spanish in high school. College was similar, but it wasn't until most recently that I've been learning on my own, that I've been focusing on listening, and then really kind of just developing an ear for the language. And that has been way more beneficial, because when I tried to memorize, okay, what's passive and what's present progressive and all these different things, and how do I use, all these different things, all these low and all that kind of stuff, right? I would forget it if I was just trying to memorize it. But instead, by listening to the language and kind of just getting an ear for it, that's worked better for me.
Yes, that's the problem here in Spain, that we've learned English like only with the books, the grammar. But the problem comes when you have to face a conversation with someone, and then you don't have the possibility to train yourself on that specific skill. So I don't know right now what the process in the schools are, but I would like to change that process, because it is essential practice. You're speaking more than your grammar and than anything. But the fact is that teachers here don't have enough time to do that process. It is only the marks at the end of the course, and only that. So they are not an interest of learning English like a language. It is only to pass the course and nothing more. So if you want to learn that language properly, you have to go to a private school, and then you can have the possibility to get better at that, but not at the school, because they think that it is not necessary for us to learn that. the language. Another thing is when you have to go to university, but when if you finish your career or your degree, you finish your degree, then you need at least a B2 level of English. If not, you are not going to get your certificate on that degree. So, but still the way of teaching, it is not very, I don't know how to say that, it is not very useful or beneficial.
Well, here in Venezuela is similar like in Spain about English, because students only start to studying English only in high school, but it's only as a subject, and they learned only some words, a little grammar, a little only, for example, verb be and do and does and will and going to. That's all. It's, for example, you have to do a work about verb be and some sentences with do and does. That's all. So it's difficult here to learn English or another language because there isn't any motivation to students. So when we go to the university, it's the same. Some careers you have to see or to study English, but as a subject, and it's the same situation. And only when you study mother language that you have to study English because it's necessary, it's mandatory. But the rest is unnecessary here. I don't know why, but for me it's very important. Even those days that many companies require people that speak English. Even when people finish their career at the university and when they are looking for a job, many companies require that they speak English. So what? And then they start struggling with the language, trying to learn, and they subscribe in a language school. But it's really hard because as an adult, they have to work, they have to attend the house or children. Many of them have a difficult life to dedicate or involve with the language. So it's a problem. So the majority of people give up trying to speak English here in Venezuela. Only a few people finish an English course or another language. So, well, it's a problem here. It's not, there is not a real motivation to, with this language, unfortunately.
Well, thank you for sharing. I want to read, I wanted to shout out to Leonardo from Rio de Janeiro, who's watching, and we have a question from Vignesh from India, and he says, his question is, what is the best way to learn English vocabulary? So if anybody wants to kind of speak on that, if there's ways that they found the best way to kind of learn vocabulary.
Well, I'm gonna take
well, for me.
Ladies first. No, go ahead, Ms. Asaka. Ladies first.
Okay. For me, the best way to learn vocabulary is practice sentences every day. For example, if you are in the kitchen, you have to create sentences with things that you have around. For example, I'm cooking, or this is the kitchen, this is the refrigerator, this is the spoon, or etc., or microwave oven, etc. Just say that you have to what seems that you have around and create sentences or think in that you learn that are English. You don't need to translate. For example, this is a bed, for example. Este es in Spanish, for example. Esto es una cama. No, I don't need to translate that because I memorized that vocabulary in English and think about that in English. I think this is the best way. And another thing is that you can read and read and read a lot. And for every reading that you have, you always vocabulary, always.
Okay, thank you. And Murad, what is your thoughts?
First of all, sorry, I just received a phone call, so I was during, the talk. I wasn't focused in what's happening, that time. So the thing is, during our talk, there is three important information that has been given from you, Rochelle, and Julio, and also Luzamelli. Okay, so the first thing, it's about the environment. You came with a very important thing, which is the environment that you are learning your language with. It's very important, to have an environment that you feel that is positive, that is cooperative with you, and you know exactly who's the people that you are dealing with. Because going to those strange group, because actually I'm a participant in a lot of English group in WhatsApp, and I can say that I'm introvert to these groups. I'm not interacting with them because I don't know the people. But I felt, so touched to the group that I'm talking with you, the Dream English, because the
I think you just muted.
Yeah, I received another phone call. So the thing is, as I told you, I feel that I belong to that group, Dreaming English. So this is why I'm active with you guys, and I'm always trying to join you in any conversation that you are having. So this is one of the things that's very important, and I'm totally agreeing with you, Rochelle. That's the environment that you are learning any language. It should be safe and positive, so that you can increase your knowledge in any language that you want. The second thing is regarding to the point that came from Julio. I think it's very important also to have a motivation and interest in anything you learn in this life. For example, my interest in learning English, it's honestly, it's to have a good career. It's to communicate with people. I have passion to discover new cultures and new new things in this world. So this is why I'm always passionate to learn English and to increase my knowledge in this regard. So this is one of the things that's very important, is to have this motivation. Without any motivation, you won't reach to a higher level in your life. And the second thing, it's when it comes to what Miss Luzamelli say regarding to the way that we are educated during our education in school. Actually, here also in Saudi Arabia, unfortunately, the English courses wasn't that effective. So I can say that I didn't gain any benefits from learning from school, because they only will give you the basics, some small things that's not sufficient for you to grow in this language. So just like telling you have to find your own sources, your own channels in order to improve your language. So this is it. Currently things completely got changed. In the past, and I'm talking 20 years ago, we were starting learning English at the level or the grade of intermediate level. So, but right now they reform the education system, and they started to learn, English in first grade, which is something, very important, because, in that level of age, I think it's more easier for the human to absorb, the language, not like in an older age. So it's very important, to start this journey in early age, so that you can, increase and improve yourself easily. So, and definitely, if we notice, the children, how they are learning, new language, you will see that it's easy for them to learn. It's easy for them to be more native and professional, because they are observing things, because this is their nature to learn. They listen and then they will learn. Just not like, in an older age. Now I'm talking, generally all of you guys is still youth, but the thing is, we have, to focus in these things, in early age, in order to improve ourselves in older ages.
Yeah, thank you. I kind of feel like I totally agree. Here in the US is the same thing. We're not learning languages until we're in middle school or high school. I think now in some schools they're starting to learn languages earlier, but still where I live, they're not learning it until they're in middle school. We have Leonardo who asked from Brazil again. He's asked about the pronunciation. I think he's very impressed with the pronunciation of all of you and wondered, how like how you got such good pronunciation. If anybody wants to speak to that.
I'm going to take a part in this because, I have a little bit of experience in this regard. I think, the accent, it's, you cannot have that fluent accent or accent that's similar to native, Americans or British, unless your original language is easy to be, imitated to a new languages. Because I think that there is some languages, it's very hard, I think it's very deep and hard to talk in another language. Like, for example, it's very easy to recognize people from Hispanic background. It's very easy, to recognize them and that they have, Spanish, background. The same to Arabs, some part in Arabian countries. They have that very deep accent where they cannot change it, to other languages, to imitate or to take role in other languages. So it's very important, to have that soft, original language in order to express it in a native or change it to be more native.
Murad, are you working in an English environment?
Sorry, again, I couldn't hear
Are you
you.
working in an English environment?
Yes, then this is one of the
That
things that
helps a lot.
yeah, that's so helpful actually. But honestly, yes, I'm working in an English environment, but sometimes it is impacting me negatively, because the people that I'm working with, yes, we are not sharing the same language, which is the Arabic language, since I'm living in Middle East, but they are Indians, and Indians, they have their own way in talking English, where they are so fast. Sometimes they are not focusing in grammar, so they are committing sometimes some grammatic mistake. So I feel, yes, I'm using and I'm talking in English on daily basis, but sometimes, when you are, interacting with people who are not, experienced enough, definitely this is going to impact you negatively. So, but, I still see that I'm lucky and optimistic that in that environment, I can improve myself. Yes, I'm impacting to others, and they are, increasing their knowledge, and I'm saying to me, I'm receiving something, positive from them. But I think, you have, to interact in those type of conversation where you can meet beautiful people like Rochelle, like you, Azadel, Julio, and Rizamil. It's very important, to talk, because during our talks, daily talks, we are only talking about business, and when the subjects that we are coming with is very limited. So we are not, able to talk about something different, something, far away from our sector that we are working in.
But I think that you have the necessity to understand MMU, and it is not the same that you are not working in that environment, then you don't have the practice. You don't have enough time to I don't know, to face that you have to understand with another people, with other people. So, for example, I'm talking about me. For example, I don't have to talk with anybody in English. So if I want to improve my English, I have to listen to podcasts, or you know. But you have the necessity to talk with them on your daily basis. Apart from that, the vocabulary is only for business. It is not the same.
Yeah, sure, definitely. Because sometimes you have an interest with them to speak English. Otherwise, you won't find those people who's gonna ready to give you that time to speak with you in English, or to communicate with you for longer times. So this is it. It's all about the environment, the place that you are working with. It's one of the things that you can encourage you to continue. But as I told you, it's very important. Right now, in life, in our nowadays, it's very easy, to find good people, to make a friendship with people who can interact with you in English, and you are sharing with them the same objective, like learning and improving your language. So this is one of the things.
Okay.
I
And by
wanted
the way,
to.
you have
Oh, okay, yeah, I just
Sure.
wanted to read out. I said Leandro's name wrong, but anyway, it's Leandro, and he said something. He said English provides a sense of belonging. It's amazing how one can be in a room, whether a virtual or physical, with people from all continents. Well, almost all continents of the world, understanding and being understood. We were going to have David from Africa, but I think maybe he wasn't able to join us. And then I wanted to ask out another one is Danella. I'm hoping I'm saying that right. How can you improve your listening skills? Can you give me a bit of advice on that? She's intermediate on writing, reading and writing, but what can you do to improve your listening skills, if anyone wants to answer that?
Maybe I can say something about that based on my own experience. Well, of course, you have to listen a lot. It's just a matter of bringing the language you're trying to learn to your life, right? You have to think, dream, live in that language if you want to improve not just your listening skill. Because you to talk, you have to listen, and to write, you have to read. It's all the skills, and it's better if you work them all. You don't have to focus on just one of them. But talking about listening, in American English, they tend to get together some words. They use a lot of contractions. So it's, you have to know that. There's a lot of information about this in the internet. There's YouTube channels where you can see how it works, how they pronounce it, and you're going to get used to it. Your ear eventually is going to recognize all those sounds that seem to be said very fast, and it's just that, just practice.
Thank you. I think one of the things I'll tell you from editing, because I edit videos, is that we are in America, we are starting our next sentence or our next word before we even finish the word that we're talking. Oh, sorry, Luce Mealy. Luce Mealy, were you trying to say something? I'm sorry, I spoke over you.
Well, in my experience, I listen and listen and listen every single day. Okay.
Yes.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Hello? Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, we
yes,
can hear
we can
you.
hear you.
Okay. In my experience, well, I just listen and listen every single day. Okay, every single day. something that I like. I just listen and watch in English. And of course, at the beginning, it was really hard because I didn't understand anything. And then day by day, I listened. I understand a little and a little more every day. So it took for me 1 hour to train my ears. So I think in this moment I can understand 90% that I hear. So it's pretty good. But sometimes I have trouble to understand some accents, especially British accents. Is really hard for me to understand. But I trying to listen and listen them more frequently because I want to understand them here in American because I started. But well, the only way that you can train your ears listen every day, and of course read a lot, read and listen at the same time, because you can in these words and not only listen it, you read and identify that word immediately when you listen that or this. So this is my advice.
Yeah, I like what you said about like reading and listening at the same time, which one thing that's what I like about YouTube is that you can usually turn on the captions and they're pretty accurate. So that's what I'll do a lot because I can look at the people's lips because I think you learn from watching people's lips, but I can also read along right underneath in case I'm not sure of the word. So I like that because sometimes if you're reading a book, for me, like if I'm reading a book in Spanish, and if I'm not pronouncing it right, then I'm going to develop bad habits in pronunciation. So I think if you have that ability to listen at the same time as you're reading, especially when you're, in the beginning parts of learning, that's super important. One thing that I do like, if it's possible, people have, I think if you have the Amazon Fire tablets, you can actually, if you get the books from Amazon, you can actually have it read it out to you. So you can read along and you can actually have the audio. It is kind of a robotic voice, but at least it's the correct pronunciation. So I'll do that in Spanish, and I think you can definitely do that because I've had my daughter when she was younger. She used to do that with like Harry Potter, and it would read Harry Potter to her as she was reading along. So at least like you're listening to the correct pronunciation, because I think if you're trying to read something that might be a little bit advanced and you don't have the pronunciation, you might develop bad habits on pronunciation.
I have to add one more thing, in all what you have said in this regard. I think it's listening. It's for the English student. It's one of the I can say the misunderstood conceptions of learning any language. Some of those, English students or any language students, they will prefer to talk rather than listen to others, thinking that okay, if I'm gonna talk, I'm gonna increase my confidence in learning any language. But at the same time, they are losing the chance of learning something new, because you have reached to or you have did a progress in your level in your journey in learning any language, but you will miss a very essential thing in this journey, where you have listened and to increase your knowledge. So listening is very important. I think when you give the chance to others to express their opinion, you will start reaping a new words and new vocabularies that can be added to your dictionary in the mental dictionary that you have. So listening is very important, and without listening and giving an open ears to others, you won't be able to improve yourself.
Danella, who apparently is from Italy, she's asking me actually, why am I learning Spanish? Like, why is someone that is an English speaker, why would I want to learn another language? And so I'll answer that like a couple of reasons. One is, as a child, I lived in a neighborhood where there were people from Puerto Rico and other countries, but Puerto Rico especially, and they could speak both English and Spanish. And I just wanted to do that. My grandmother was from Italy, and she could speak both English and Italian. And there's people, a lot of French Canadians that are living here, and they could speak both French and English. And so I always had that desire to speak another language. And as soon as I was able to, I signed up to take Spanish. But another reason, well, where I work, there's lots of people, and I live around a lot of people that are from Colombia and Ecuador and Panama and all over, right? So to learn Spanish would be most useful for me. Second would probably be French, and why in American schools usually French and French and Spanish are the two languages that are most often given as options. And another reason why I want to learn is I think it's fun, but I also think it's good for your brain. And I always wanted to be able to say I'm bilingual, but I would love to someday learn a third language so I can say I'm a polyglot. So it's a hobby for me. But that was one question, is like, why would I want to learn another language? Well, because one, I want to be bilingual. Two, I'd love to be a polyglot. And three, I think it's good for my brain. And I've been able to, like, what somebody else said, well, there's a lot of people from Latin America. Well, probably because I was in a lot of groups that I was trying to learn Spanish. And like, I met Lucy Melly from Hello Talk because I was trying to learn Spanish. So that's probably why there's a lot of Latin America or Latin America and Spain presence right here in this conversation. So just wanted to add that.
I think that when you have the possibility to learn a new language, you are learning the culture of that country as well. So it is beneficial in both sides, So to me, it's like that, because I have the possibility to learn Portuguese. I learned a lot about the Portuguese culture, So
Totally agree. I was actually just watching this other YouTuber, and he does a lot of stuff on learning languages in general. And he was talking about, there's this actual military defense language school apparently, and they learn languages in anywhere from 3 months to 64 weeks. And the harder languages they get more time on. But they don't just learn the language, they don't just learn the vocabulary and the grammar, but they also learn the culture, because it's super important to learn about the culture. And that's another thing I love learning from Lucmeli, all the different foods and the dance and all that. That is from Venezuela. I've had conversations with people from like 30 different countries and learning about the different cultures. And I'm having conversations with people outside of Spanish-speaking countries. I love learning about the cultures as well. So that's a very important thing. To understand the language, you have to understand the culture too.
I think WhatsApp groups have been a big discovery for me, because then I realized that I have the possibility to communicate with people of all around the world. It is amazing because if you don't have, for example, Arabian language, then you are not going to learn about the culture of that people. And then right now, I talk with them, and they say me a lot of things about the countries, how they work there, the possibilities that you have to travel there and to find maybe jobs. So it is quite interesting, because with English, you open your mind a lot.
Yes, sure. I can find you a job here in Arab world. No problem. Just come to Saudi Arabia and you will be cool.
So are you telling me that I am not going to have any problem to find a job there in Saudi Arabia?
Yeah, no problem. Definitely. Intelligent and educated guy, the person like you, definitely can have a higher jobs in Saudi Arabia.
Okay, I take your word.
Of course.
Okay, thank you so much.
You're welcome. So for me, I'm gonna answer this question. I believe that if I'm gonna be called as bilingual person, definitely I'm gonna be, so proud of myself.
When we
As
speak English,
yes, go ahead.
Come on, Murat.
Okay, so I don't know. She was trying to talk, but I think that the internet connection.
sorry.
So the thing is, I was trying to say that if I'm gonna be called as a bilingual person, I think it's something will be, something I'm gonna be so proud of it. I'm still so far from that, that dream.
No. Your English level is amazing.
Oh, thank you so much. You make me blush, Isabella. Thank you.
No. You deserve it.
Thank you so much. So I'm trying my best. So I don't think that in a level of in my life, that I'm gonna, plan to learn a third language. It's very hard for me. I think that I don't have the time, that much of time to invest it in learning a third language, because I think it's pretty hard, especially when you getting older in age. Very hard, to start, the journey of learning a third language, especially when you are busy on your responsibilities in life. You have your family, you have your own necessities, and you have to fulfill a lot of things. So I don't think that I'm ready, or I have the chance or the time to learn a third language. So this is why I'm investing my time in English and improving myself and my skills in communication in that language. And I think it's sufficient for me, especially in this life where you can go to anywhere, and using English is something sufficient to communicate with people.
Totally agree with you.
Yes.
I agree too. Like that is my goal someday to learn a third language, but I don't have the time. I kind of started a little bit on like Spanish, Italian, but I'm focusing mostly just on the Spanish, and then I'm focusing so much time on this YouTube channel that my time to learn a third language is now just used up by putting in my time into this YouTube channel, which I it's like a hobby for me. So I'm kind of thinking when my kids are off to college and such, and maybe then I'll have time to pick up that third language. I think, Julio, you are studying other languages. Do you want to speak to like that? I believe that you are anyway.
Okay. Well, I studied 20 years ago for 3 years Latin with an Italian teacher, el profesor Carlo Pianese Buolo. After that, he taught me Italian 2 years. And after that, I started learning English. And now I reached B2 or high intermediate level in both in English and Italian. And I started with Japanese. It's a hobby for me. I'm not participating in any, competition on who talks more languages, right? It's just a need that I have to know about some other cultures. In the case of Latin, to talk with, like my teacher said, like my former teacher said, you can talk to wonderful dead people like Virgilio, Horatius, Julius Caesar. So it's a great thing to read or to listen, to read from, from that people, right? From different ages, different cultures. So it's something that really makes you feel good. I do enjoy it. I would say, if I have to recap this of learning English, that after we pick up the language and we get the appropriate material for us, according to what we like or our schedules, we have to immerse, right? I guess that's the word. We have to live that language. We have to dream, we have to talk, we have to be in touch with that language every day. We have to find a language partner. We have to commit many, many, many mistakes. That's the only way to improve. And finally, I would say that we have to enjoy it. Okay. Because we have the motivation, we have to have a passion. So that way we are going to have communication with people all around the world. We are able to read, we are able to travel. Yeah, I would say that.
It's interesting that you say what about Latin. Like my son took 1 year of Latin, and from what I remember the teacher saying is that they really just learned to translate it, because what she said is no one speaks Latin except for the Pope. So the main thing that she taught them was to translate it. I remember one of the group members that we have, Elena from Siberia, she teaches Latin to medical students because obviously it's very useful for medical students, probably for people that are taking law and other things to probably learn Latin, because there's a lot of Latin-based words, especially in the medical field. But I remember that one thing when I spoke to his teacher was that, okay, we really only learned how to translate it because no one actually speaks it currently except for the Pope.
I would like to say something about that. Well, when I studied that, it was actually in 2000, almost, 22 years ago. This teacher, my teacher, had his own manual, 2 books. And he was teaching Latin and Greek at the university. So, it was just grammar, the 5 declensions, the verbs. You didn't have, like in traditional books, ways to greet or to say bye. I have to learn by my own how to say salve sodales or vale. It was just grammar. But now we have many people that it's talking in Latin. We have this Lucius Ranieri from Scorpio Martianus and Irene from Satura Langs. They actually talk in Latin. And that's amazing for me. And that there's a lot of people who started to do it. So it's not actually like we used to think before, that it's a dead language and it's just important for lawyers, right? Or philologists. This teacher always said, Nunquam amores quos extuli refero. This is from Seneca, and it means I never come back home without having learned something. And that's amazing, right?
Well, thank you for that, because like that was one of the things that just that particular teacher that he had, which she was actually a lawyer and then she became a teacher and was teaching the Latin. That's what she said. But it's interesting that you say that there are more people speaking it than just the Pope. So thank you for that. Interesting. So who else here? I know, Isabel, you said you had learned Portuguese. So you obviously, so you're English and Spanish and Portuguese. So can you speak to that a little bit?
Yes, I was studying Portuguese for during 3 years, but I thought it was not very useful for me because the only place where I have to talk about that language It was only in Portugal or maybe in Brazil or maybe in some African countries. So to me, it's more useful to learn English. So I put the focus on this language because I have the opportunity, as I told you before, to travel without any problem to any country. I'm going to be understood for everyone. So that's why I left the the process for learning Portuguese. In fact, Portugal is I don't know 5 minutes far from my country, from my city. You know, we are. I live in the border with Portugal, and I don't have any problem to go there and to practice the language with Portuguese people. But after 3 years of learning, I decided to leave of learning because the level it was very high and I have to study a lot. So I prefer studying English, you know, because I don't have enough time to learn two language at the same time and to be better in English, not in Portuguese.
Totally understandable. It seems that that's a similar like theme this morning is that interest in knowing more than two languages, but the time strain, like for me, like I don't have that extra time to really focus and give enough time to that third language. And it sounds like that's a similar theme going on this morning. Well, any case, do we have any other, like, I'm not seeing any other questions. Does anybody else want to like add any other things about learning English? Any like really cool apps or things that are very helpful? Like, we can talk for a few more minutes and I've got to get ready to drive my son to robotics.
Okay.
Yes, actually, I would like to add two more things. First of all, allow me just to retrieve one of the subjects that we were talking about, which is talking English in American accent. I think it's a beautiful, you know, to hear Julio and Isabella, you know, speaking English in their Spanish accent. I don't know why some people having that passion to learn English in the same accent of Americans or British. Just keep, you know, your language the same as it is, you know, with the original language. So beautiful and it sounds very musical and you know, attractive. So this is one thing. That's the second thing is if I'm planning to learn a third language, I think that I'm gonna, you know, choose the Chinese language because I believe, you know, though this country, you know, it will have a, you know, very, you know, a big future, you know, especially when it comes to industry and everything. So I don't know, maybe, you know, one day I'm gonna start to learn at least, you know, basics in this language because once again, you know, they're trying to dominate the world, especially when it comes to industry, and they are always inventing new things in this life. So this is it.
Totally agree. I think I hear, go back to your first point of people wanting to learn an American accent. I think the accents that everyone has, Isabel and Julio and all of you, have, it's beautiful. I love it. And I've known people that live here in the United States for 30 years and they still, like I have a friend from Colombia and she still has that Colombian accent. And I think it's beautiful. You know, own it and be proud of it. And I will tell you, I work in a school where we have people from all over the world. And if they have moved here before age 10, I'm probably not going to know that they didn't grow up in the US. But if they move here after age 10, they're probably going to retain some accent. And there's some science to that. But that is my experience as well. But I've read that too. Any case, yes, there is a possibility that somebody can learn how to speak without any sort of accent. Obviously, like I will point to Gwyneth Paltrow, who has played a very convincing British person in some of my favorite movies, right? Emma, Jane Austen and such. But that's with like a special language coach that's really like working with them, you know, or impression and speech coaches that are working with them to be able to do that. I know lots of actors are able to do that. But at the same time, if you're not going to do that to be like an actor or an actress to try to play a part. And we were actually, a conversation that I had with Ken Clay about the movie Grease Well, they had Olivia Newton-John. That movie Grease was written for the All-American Girl, but when they hired Olivia Newton-John, they changed it to an Australian exchange student because it was easier to have her just play an Australian exchange student than to try to coach her on how to have an American accent. So, and then what was the other point? Oh, learning Chinese. Like, it seems like probably if you're going to learn language, sometimes it's like the idea of learning a language that's going to be helpful to you, like learning English because it's this international language that's used in business and you can get by in all different countries. But yes, China is like this huge country, so that makes sense too. And I think we're seeing that here in the U.S. There's tons of colleges that are offering Chinese as a second language or even as a major. So definitely I can see the importance of that.
Rochelle, well, I would like to point out that there must be a motivation, right? You have to take the time to pick up something, and that has to become a passion. So you won't quit, and you're going to keep that forever because you learn another way to get in touch with people from another country. There's a saying that is the more languages you know, the more people you are. That means we can have many ways to see life, or we can get to know or not understand, but maybe we can know people that has another religion, another beliefs, another traditions. Yeah, I would say that. And thanks for having me here. That's all by my side.
Well, thank you, everyone. I'm going to probably wrap up soon, but oh yeah, go ahead, Isabella.
I would like to tell you something. Rochelle, thank you so much for having me here, for giving me the opportunity to talk with you, with everybody, because it is the best way to overcome my fear and to face my my speaking. Okay, so thank you so much, and I'm really grateful as well for having me in your WhatsApp groups. Okay, I appreciate a lot.
Thank you so much. And Luz Melly, do you want to say a couple last words?
Yes, Rachel, once more. And thank you so much because you push me to speak in English, so which is very important with your meetings. So you help many people with this belief in me. You push us to be better every day.
Well, thank you, Luz Melly.
You are doing well. So I hope that you can keep doing this for many years.
Thank you. It sounds like Luz Melly had really poor internet, but thank you. I think she was basically echoing Isabel. And so we're going to do another meeting in about 2 weeks. It's like the 20th, 21st, depending on time zones. It will be talking about our jobs, part 4, and we'll hear from some other people that haven't spoken about their jobs. But thank you so much. Oh, and we have Anor that is, hello, Anor. She is in the YouTube land. But any case, we'll do another live then, and maybe we'll do some just little groups together. So I'm going to end the live. So goodbye, everybody in YouTube.